A Letter to Myself with Joel Chua.
She's a Singaporean musician who performs on some of the music world's biggest stages. But when Renny Goh first told her parents that she wanted to make music her career, it wasn't quite music to their ears. It was a little ironic because she says it was their own musicality that influenced her earlier in life. Well, that tune did eventually change. Renny, who is a pianist, a keyboardist, and a producer, has been based in Los Angeles for the past 10 years. And since 2018, she's been sharing the stage with world-famous pop sensations like Conan Gray. Well, Renny is, in fact, a founding member of Conan's live band, touring with him all over the world. And how she got that job is quite the story, which she'll be sharing with us in just a little while. But first, Renny tells us how she took the first steps towards her dream.
I just had some experience playing in like little bands during my JC times as well. I just remember thinking like, oh, I want to do this more. I want to be surrounded by this like my whole life. And I just like, made that decision and announced it to my parents. I think it was after JC, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay, and how did your parents react?
As any more conservative and loving Singaporean parent would, I think they were very worried. I was academically like, okay, I was doing well in school. So when my parents received that news from me, they were like, oh, are you going to just throw all your studies away and just go be a musician? Like, it's never been easy for anyone who wants to do anything creative. I think that was the biggest worry. Like, will you be able to survive? Will you be able to earn enough money to be happy and be sustainable, in your life? So that was, I would say opposition at first.
Okay, at first. Okay, we'll get to why at first later, right? But, so what was your response to them? How did you reassure them when they expressed these very understandable, concerns?
I also understood why they were worried. Because back then, after JC, I had some musical achievements, but not enough to prove to anybody that I could do it.
What were those musical achievements?
I think I started writing songs. I joined like a local rock band and started playing keys and being their lead singer. So we had like little small performances around Singapore, Esplanade, like in the original music scene. So there were those little things, but it's not enough to, to announce like, okay, I'm going to quit everything and just like try to earn money doing this. But, those were little moments where I'm like, oh, wait, like I think receiving feedback from the audience or like from seniors around me, I think I can do something. But it wasn't enough. So I knew that. So I wasn't about to like fight my parents and try to assure them just verbally with my words, because there's like empty words, right? So there was an agreement. I was like, okay, I will go to school. I'll go to uni. I'll complete my university degree. And then please give me 1 or 2 years after I graduate to try this out.
Okay, so there was a negotiation.
Yes.
That was the first important deal you made.
Very, yeah.
You chose to do, I believe, sociology in NUS, right? Well, why did you choose sociology?
Firstly, I love reading books.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to do something to do with the arts or social sciences, and I took all the introductory courses. I love the way sociology saw the world, and I wanted to be part of that. So there wasn't like I don't want to do this, I should have gone to music school kind of thing.
I mean, the logical question is, why didn't you do something music related?
That was the agreement with my parents.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like...
Diversify.
Yes.
Insurance policy kind of thing.
Insurance policy. They were like, okay, do a normal degree so that you have something to fall back on.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so that's your condition. So what I would do is I will go for something that's considered regular in Singapore, but it would be something that I made out of my own choice, and I must at least like it. And I kid you not, I loved my 4 years. Like, I love studying sociology.
What about this topic or this discipline that captures you so much?
I love concepts. I love theories. studying sociology was like very in my lane.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed it. And then, just looking at the world from a different lens and considering different cultures. And it was very enjoyable for me. So it was great.
Has it been useful for you in your music career?
I would say I think it's just made me a more well-balanced person.
Okay.
Considering different perspectives. I don't think I'm a very like hardline person. Like, oh, I never, or I always believe in this. I'm always like, and I think it's probably because of sociology. I'm like, okay, we have to consider other perspectives. We see this from somebody else's angle. It's not just my way. Is not always the right way.
Right.
Yeah, and I enjoy that a lot. Yeah.
And you're a creative person. I mean, you are in the creative industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the essence of creativity, right? Considering different perspectives and not to be rigid or ideological about what you feel strongly about.
Oh, yeah, totally. And like, I think going to the US and seeing like different musical cultures are so affected by the culture itself. And so the way they feel music or the way they perceive music is so different from every culture. And I always remember this because like when I learned keyboard from like different teachers from different cultures, like the way they talk about how you should feel time or how you should feel music is completely different. Yeah, and I love just hearing their perspectives,
Right.
Yeah.
And just taking it all in.
Yes.
So that other big announcement that you wanted to go to LA, that must have been the other big announcement that caused your parents to catch their breath, to hold their breath for a little while.
Yeah, but
how did that come up? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. The first announcement was the worst because that was when I had no achievements under my name. But so I had 4 years in NUS, and then about 2 years to work the field in music full time. But my 4 years in NUS, outside of school, I was just doing music with my band, doing YouTube covers, doing some theatre stuff, just whatever that I could get my hands on music-wise, I got myself into for those 4 years. So I started to to amass some credits. And then when I graduated, I went into pub singing, wedding singing, and other productions. So there were already like results, and my parents were already seeing like, oh, I think she can actually do this. And I think they already started to like, okay, let go of the reins.
Okay.
I had a really good mentor, Jaylin Han. She's like a choreographer in Singapore, pretty well known as well, that really helped me persuade my parents, because she would always like at performances would assure my parents like, Renny can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a very good ally.
I did. Yeah, my mentor. She bought me my first keyboard when I didn't have money. She just invested in me.
Wow.
I still remember $1,100, I think, in that keyboard. Yeah, she never took the money back. I remember when I earned my first paycheck, returned her the money. She was like, "Keep that and do that to the same kid next time when you're older."
What do you think she saw in you?
I think she saw potential, and she saw my hunger. Yeah.
The hunger.
Yeah. So my second announcement came after an almost a near-death experience that my cousin went through. He was like involved in an explosion and almost died, like third, fourth degree burns over like about 75% of his body.
This was at the workplace, I believe.
Yeah, workplace. So that was about 2013. Back then I was really comfortable doing my singing thing, very happy with my life. When that happened, it was like a wake-up call for me. I was like, oh, I think I actually remember I had dreams of going overseas to do music, but I got comfortable. And I think looking at him almost dying was like a moment for me to like reevaluate my whole life as well. Because I re-looked at my life and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I actually did want to go overseas. I got comfortable, but now with this reminder, like it's time to go.
Right.
Yeah, I think it just kind of took away all my insecurities and self-doubt. And I'm like, okay, I can't waste my time. Yeah.
Yeah. It really clarifies. Such an experience, such a realization really helps to clarify what your life goals and priorities are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you open the doors that would eventually lead you to LA?
When that happened to my cousin, I remember the same night, went on to the internet and registered myself to like a couple of music schools in the US. I just like submitted my application.
Without a second thought?
Yeah.
Wow.
No second thought. Yeah, just did it. And then I told my parents. they were pretty supportive. I think also maybe influenced by what my cousin went through.
Okay.
And also now, like looking at my credits and my achievements, they were like, I think she has a shot. Yeah. So with their blessings and with my cousin's blessings, actually, he woke up in ICU. He was like, yeah, do it. I went to LA.
So once you were in LA, tell us how did that second chapter of your life, that next chapter of your life unfold?
It was amazing. Amazing and also painful, but in a great way. I was a lot older than my classmates because obviously I completed my degree and then had 2 years of working experience.
Well, what was your age and what were their ages?
I think, I can't remember exactly now, but I think I went when I was 26, 27.
Okay.
One of my youngest classmates was like 18.
Okay.
19. So there was an age difference,
Right.
generation gap. But we became, I mean, when you're there in music school, you don't really see the age anymore because everyone's just trying to do the best in their craft and hone their craft, right? Some of my closest friends in LA are like a lot younger than me, but I feel so close. They are still my family.
You're the big sister.
Yes. Went to school, a lot younger than my classmates. So there was always this thought at the back of my mind that I had no time to waste. Yeah, so I did work really hard because I was like, I need to make up for some lost time. Not lost time that I regret, but just time that I need to make up for the 4 years in NUS. So I would spend hours and hours in the day just like in the practice room practicing because I decided to not do singing in US because I wanted to study something more.
Right. You're already established
Yes.
in that sense in Singapore, right? As a singer.
Yeah, but I just wanted to do something else. So I started to study because I was a classical pianist and reading a lot of interviews, like famous film scorers and like just like producers in general. They all have some mastery over their instrument. So I thought like let me study keyboard and arrangement, and that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just went to study all the different styles of keyboard and piano playing and studied arranging as well. Yeah.
Well, you obviously graduated from the school. What was your first big break in the industry?
Conan Gray
Yeah.
was my first big break. It's such a crazy, like when I think back, I think it's such a crazy story. But at that moment, I didn't feel that way. I was studying for my final exams, got called by a really good friend of mine to join her in an auditioning for like a young pop star, 18 years old. They usually don't say who it is. I was like, oh no, I need to study for my exams. Being a typical Singaporean girl. But my friend was like, no, make it down here now. And I'm like, okay. And I prepared the music, went down, auditioned, got accepted. And then learned that it was Conan Gray. But back then, Conan was still a budding. He was already famous, but like not as famous as he is now. I think when I first met him, he had like 100,000 followers on Instagram. I think that was like my only memory back then of his popularity. And so when I graduated, I had a job because they accepted me after the audition, and I started touring with them.
That is so remarkable. I mean, it sounds like such a charmed story, right?
Yeah.
Getting to work with such a big personality in the industry, even before graduating, right?
Yeah.
What goes through your mind as you look back at it?
Yeah, when I look back at it, I think it's an insane story because I know how hard it is to make it in this industry. Like for every success story, there's like 99 other broken hearts, you know, because music school receives students, hundreds and thousands of students every year. But I think about it so often, like how many of them, you know, end up having to go home or like maybe change their careers because there weren't results. And it's not that they're not good, because I know so many friends who are amazing players. They just never had the break or the opportunity. So for this to come and land on my lap that way, I wouldn't say it landed on my lap because I did work hard for it.
Yes.
But like the way it happened, I always feel so grateful to my friend firstly, and to everybody else that I met in the Conan Gray team, like, you know, who have always believed in me. yeah, I do feel an immense sense of gratitude. Yeah.
Why do you think you were successful in that audition? And you cannot say hard work because, like you said, everybody works hard. Right? What was that X factor that you think you had?
So the musical director then, who accepted me out of everyone, I asked him later on, like, oh, so why me, right? And he was like, you were the only one in the audition who listened to all the songs, went on stage, and went into the keyboards to like program the exact sounds that you needed for that particular song. Everyone else just took the piano patch that was just there by default on the keyboard. But you were the only one who went in there to like change things to make it sound as close as possible to the record.
In other words, you were the most prepared one.
Yeah.
So the X factor was you were Singaporean. It was your Singaporeanness that was your X factor.
Yes. But also this thing that I did was also something that I played a little bit in a gospel church in LA, and the musical director there that I consider my very good friend as well. My first day when I started playing in that gospel band, he told me, Renny, before you start playing a song, make sure that all your sounds are right. When you step in on stage or when you step in to prepare for the songs, make sure you come with all your sounds prepared. So that was in me since day one.
Renny shares with us the most valuable lessons she's gained from it in her letter to her younger self.
The first one would be trust your gut. So like I was telling you about my story, when I first made the announcement to my parents about wanting to do music, that came out of it. It looked like to my parents that it came out of nowhere, right? I just had this little fire in me that was telling, this little voice in me that was just telling me like, oh, I want to do music, right? But at that point, no one else believed in me because I didn't have results yet, and understandably so. But I trusted in my gut. Just that voice that was telling me like, okay, I think, let's do this. And I think that gut also played such a big part in my life, like throughout different moments. Like when I decided finally to leave Singapore and go to the US, that was also me trusting my gut, because everyone thought I was kind of crazy because I was a singer in Singapore, but I'm like leaving Singapore to not learn singing, but to do something else in music that maybe I had some background in, like, because I was a piano player, but I wasn't known in Singapore for that. But I just trusted my gut, and I was like, I need to do more in this music thing besides singing. And this voice in me is telling me that I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to trust, So I would say trust your gut.
As much as, you felt so compelled to do this, right, to follow this calling and trust your gut, was there also at some points a voice telling you differently? Were there doubt, if I can use the term?
Oh, definitely. And I would say, like, with that, you need friends and your community, you need your tribe. You need people around you. For example, I was so blessed because I was in a music school. I had people around me who were doing the same things as me, also trusting their gut, also trusting themselves enough to be here in a foreign country to do this, or like to move states, or to trust in something that might or might not, have results. I think that encouragement plays such a big part, especially when it gets discouraging and you start to question your gut or question yourself. You need friends, you need mentors to always assure you and always giving you feedback, so that you make sure that you are like on the right path, or like on something and walking a path. Yeah,
a mutually affirming community.
Yes.
First message, trust your gut.
Yes.
Yeah, and have people around you who continually fuel that sense of passion and that sense of desire to walk the path that you've chosen as well. Yeah. What's the second message?
The second one is trust your process. Trust the process.
Okay.
Especially when nobody in the creative, no, actually any discipline, nobody starts out being good. You're going to suck in the beginning. You're going to do really badly at some point and realize that you're not always good at everything in your discipline. Obviously, it gets discouraging as you're trying to learn more things, you're trying to master more skills and master more concepts and stuff. Things don't come naturally all the time. And then it gets frustrating. You might feel discouraged. in my head, there were many moments where I had to like trust that I'll be better tomorrow. You know, I had a horrible day practicing the piano. I don't sound great at all. But okay, I'm gonna go have a rest, sleep, wake up tomorrow and trust that I'm 1% better than yesterday. It's so slow, you know, especially when you hit a certain plateau, your improvement is like so minute that you can't tell anymore. But you just have to trust it and keep going.
What do you do when you hit that plateau, so to speak?
So many things, actually. But I think sometimes if you hit a point where you're like tired or fatigued, I think one of my teachers in music school, who sadly passed away, he gave us some really good advice. At the end of every school term, he would be like, okay, go take a break. Don't play music for a couple. Don't play music until you start hearing music in your head. Yeah, he's like, stop playing music, go do other things, go play sports, go vacation, go do nothing, go do everything that you love. And then the moment you start to hum a tune, or like the moment you start hearing things, then come back to it.
Oh, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
That really resonates. You know, the analogy that's coming to my mind is when you are when you are an athlete, right? Training is important, right? But as important as the actual training is the rest period, right? Because that's when your muscles get rebuilt.
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually really bad at resting because I'm a workaholic. I cannot stop. But which is why this advice stayed in me, because, you know, as someone who keeps working, who can't stop moving, trusting the process is so important to take breaks for me, because I can't see my progress every day, but I'm working every day. So I have to tell myself to like, okay, like take some breaks, come back, and then you'll see the results. So that's one.
What do you do when you take breaks?
I love reading. I love anime, love manga, so I do a lot of that.
What are you reading now? Manga?
Manga, I'm an avid fan of this anime/manga called One Piece. I've watched it for decades.
Yeah, lots of fans. Yeah.
Yes, I think everybody who knows me knows that I love One Piece so much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's nice. Okay, so that's downtime.
That's downtime.
Okay, so that's the second message to yourself is trust the process. What's the other message to your younger self?
Nothing is for naught. Nothing is wasted. Not to say to like live your life recklessly. I think living with intentionality is very important. So I think every step of the way in my life, I think I've always at the back of my mind wanted to live with intention. And I always believe that creativity is born under limitations, times of struggle, and less in times of abundance. Like, you know, when you are given so much freedom and so much options, it's actually harder to make a decision.
Yep.
But if you're like confined and you have to work within the limits, like people start to get creative.
Yep, that's when the neurons start firing.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually really love that process. You know, even like working with clients or like working with other people who set like not limits but like, oh, I want this way. Then you're like, okay, how can I be creative in this space that you have set for me? That actually is very fun for me.
You thrive under pressure.
I do, absolutely.
How do you not buckle under pressure?
Breathe.
Okay.
Firstly. Second is because I perform a lot on stage, so obviously there are moments where I get, you know, struck by an odd sense of anxiety or like stage fright. It rarely comes these days, but there are always moments where I do get these things, do still get these thoughts. The fastest way for me to like get back into the zone is to tell myself to be of service. Because oftentimes when you get stage fright or when you get anxiety, it's always something about you. You're like, oh, can I do this? Can I, you know? But the moment I tell myself like, okay, like, can I be of service to my bandmates? Can I be of service to the artist that I'm playing for? And then suddenly it's not about me anymore. I'm like, okay.
Right.
You know, I'm not here to show off. I'm here to do a show so that people can enjoy and so that my friends and the artists, we all can do something and create something together.
Yeah, there are two values in that. I love how it's a double-barreled kind of strategy, right? On the one hand, it helps you self-regulate, and on the other hand, you become more useful to the people around you as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally.
Yeah. So the third message would be, nothing is for naught.
Yes. Like how I talked about sociology in NUS, that wasn't a wasted time for me. I enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. That was never a waste to me. Every single moment that was given, that I had chosen, every path that I've chosen, I've always done it with like, okay, I'll do this sociology thing. I believe that it's going to help me in the future. Or like my parents not allowing me to go to music school when I was just done with JC. I tried to make the best of what I had at that moment. And I'm proud of myself for being able to go into the Singapore music scene, working with people here. I feel like I learned a lot. I tried to be creative basically with the limited options I had. And I have no regrets. I've met amazing musicians in Singapore, made my connections and have long-lasting friendships just from that 6 years in Singapore. My roots are strong in Singapore. I miss home, every day. I think if the opportunity arises, I would love to be back, or like to at least be able to spend more time back home with my family especially. But I'm not, I'm just gonna go with the flow and see where life takes me. I'm also open to moving to other places. But I think most importantly is I would love to be able to carve out a life where I can always come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you've been doing regularly for the past 10 years anyway, right? Especially you were
Yes.
sharing with me during Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Right? That's a must, right?
It is a must. Yeah. It's fun. It has fond memories for me. And that's when my family comes together, the extended family as well. So that's always a very fun time for me.
Right. You talked also about following where the flow is taking you. Where's the flow taking you at this point in time?
We're currently also, besides Conan Gray and other US artists like Lauren Mayberry that I work with, there is an artist called Fauzia that I'm working with, and she's doing quite a bit of work in China. My husband and I are musical directors for her. So we are frequenting China a lot. Actually, right after this month, we'll be in China doing her shows. I'm open to that. Like going to China and doing more things over there, improving my Chinese. Yeah, or anywhere life takes me, I'm open. I love being in different cultures and and seeing the synergy or even the funny awkward moments where like things don't mesh well.
That's where your sociology training comes in handy.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And actually being a Singaporean as well.
Right. Multicultural.
Yep.
So it's really been an asset for you, huh? In many ways, this Singaporean background.
I would say so. I think the Singaporean background, being comfortable with different cultures, we don't even question it because you're just born into this. And when you wake up and walk outside, there'll be, different people from all walks of life, different skin colors, everything, and everyone with different backgrounds. I think that was an asset that I guess most of us in Singapore would take for granted. Because in the US, it was also really natural for me to see people from all races and different cultures coming together and trying to work together. It was really fun for me. I've always, and also probably because of my sociology background, I was always very curious about my friends' cultures. I would ask a lot of questions, join them for certain festivals and stuff. Even went to an Indian temple with my Indian classmate, traveled like 1 or 2 hours to the Indian temple just to take part in the festivities. Yeah, and I was always very happy to share my culture as well. Yeah, and I think being a minority in the US as a Chinese or an Asian, I was very proud to share what I had. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It's time for that second letter now, Renny. Right? You shared those 3 very valuable messages with us earlier. Trust your gut, trust the process, and nothing is wasted. Yeah? If you could write the second letter this time to your future self, what would be in this one?
I would say the overarching message for my younger self and my older self has always been like a sense of gratitude. And I think that's always also helped me. Being grateful for the opportunities that come, grateful for the connections that you make. And I think with that feeling of gratitude, you will never find yourself in a situation where you are insincere. You know, you're always trying to make meaningful connections with people. And I think with that sense of gratitude, a lot of these things are covered. Being more sincere, being more compassionate, being more empathetic. I think that all comes from that sense of gratitude. So I would say that's like the overarching message for my future self. On the way here, I was thinking about what I would tell my future self as well. I think this is just something that I haven't achieved yet, but has always been in the back of my mind. So I think this would be my message / reminder to bring my friends along. Yeah, because obviously now I'm still trying to hustle. I'm hustling, still working hard. But always at the back of my mind, I'm always trying to bring my friends along the ride with me. If I have an opportunity that I'm able to share with a friend, I will always do that. Yeah, because I want them to succeed as well. And I would love to bring all of them together with me on my journey so that, we'll all have fun together and succeed together. I think that's very important for me.
Yeah. Ending off on a really heartwarming note, Renny Goh, Singaporean pianist, keyboardist, and producer, who's based in Los Angeles, where she's found such success. She's been sharing with us the inspiring journey she's been on, the values that guide her, and of course we wish Renny all the very best as she continues to follow her dream, wherever it may take her.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. You can subscribe and follow A Letter to Myself on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And leave us a review as well if you liked what you've heard. Till next week, I'm Joel Chua, signing off.